Consumerism, the perfection of slavery. Slavery did not disappear. It still exists in forced labor, trafficking, and coercion across the world. But alongside these visible forms, a quieter system emerged. One that does not rely on violence or chains, but on something far more human: status, attention, belonging. This is consumerism, and it thrives because it aligns perfectly with what we crave most. Humans are status-seeking creatures. Always have been. In small tribes, status meant survival, respect, protection, influence. Modern consumer society hijacks that instinct. Status is no longer earned primarily through contribution or character, but displayed through objects: what you wear, what you drive, what you post, what you can afford to waste, and most people never realize they are playing this game. Consumerism does not feel like domination because it does not announce itself. No one tells you that you must buy the shoes. You simply feel that you should. You do not want to look behind. You do not want to look irrelevant. You do not want to be invisible. So you participate willingly. That is the genius of the system. I am not outside this. I buy new trainers, new clothes, overpriced things that, realistically, I do not need. I tell myself they look good, that they express something about me. But if I am honest, a large part of that desire is not aesthetic. It is symbolic. It is about what the item signals to others and what it reassures me about myself. At the extreme end, the absurdity becomes obvious. Trainers selling for over £1,000, designer brands charging luxury prices for basic materials. Even designer water, bottled, branded, stylized water, something every human needs to survive, turned into a status object. Not because it is better, but because it is seen. These purchases are rarely about function. They are signals that you have money, that you are cool, that you belong. But here is the uncomfortable part. You do not just signal to others, you brainwash yourself. You convince yourself the item genuinely looks good even when it does not. Taste becomes trained, preference becomes conditioned. And even then, the payoff is smaller than you expect. Most of the time, the people around you do not really care. They notice briefly, if at all, before returning to their own insecurities, their own signals, their own performance. You spent money, time, and attention for a moment that barely existed. This system does not persist by accident. It benefits firms enormously. If people only bought what they genuinely needed, most companies would collapse. So businesses are not incentivized to satisfy desire. They are incentivized to manufacture it. They sell aspiration instead of function, identity instead of utility, scarcity instead of substance. A product that solves a problem once is bad for profits. A product that creates insecurity is infinitely renewable. Status-driven consumption is perfect for firms. It turns customers into unpaid marketers. It ensures repeat purchases. It keeps demand endless, even when material needs are already met. And, crucially, it shifts responsibility inward. If you feel inadequate, the problem appears to be you, not the system selling you the solution. But this system may not be limitless. Occasionally, it reveals its own boundaries. When Apple released the iPhone Pocket for around $230, the reaction was immediate. Outrage, mockery, backlash. Not because the product failed, but because the price felt insulting. For a moment, people saw through the signal. That reaction matters. It shows that even in a highly status-driven culture, there are limits to what people will accept. It suggests that consumers are not infinitely malleable, that there is a point where branding fails and the illusion breaks. Excess, when pushed too far, becomes visible. So perhaps consumerism is not an unbreakable cage, But awareness is not the same as escape. The system does not collapse because we see it. It only weakens when desire loosens its grip, when status matters less, when attention is no longer currency, when enough finally feels like enough. Consumerism does not abolish freedom, it redefines it. Freedom becomes the ability to choose between products, rather than the ability to refuse the game itself. And as long as desire remains endless, control remains effortless. But the moment desire hesitates, even briefly, the system shows its cracks.